Drive: The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us by Daniel H. Pink. Picture this. It's the 1940s in a quiet university lab, and a psychologist named Harry Harlow is about to stumble onto something that will shake the foundations of what we thought we knew about motivation. But here's the twist. The world basically ignored him for decades. Harlow was studying how monkeys learn. He set up a simple mechanical puzzle. Pull a pin, undo a hook, lift a hinged cover. Nothing fancy. He planned a nice, tidy 2-week experiment and placed the puzzles in the monkeys' cages just to let them get familiar with the objects before the real testing began. Then things got weird. Without any training, without anyone showing them what to do, and most importantly, without any reward whatsoever, the monkeys just started solving the puzzles. They looked focused, determined, and honestly, they seemed to be having a blast. By the time Harlow was ready to officially start his experiment, these clever primates were already cracking the puzzles in under 60 seconds. This created a massive problem for science at the time, which recognized only 2 drives that explained basically all behavior. First was the biological drive: hunger, thirst, the urge to reproduce. But solving a mechanical puzzle didn't satisfy any of those needs. The second drive was the one we all know intimately: rewards and punishments, the carrot and the stick. We work harder for a raise, study longer for better grades, show up on time to avoid getting fired. This was supposed to be the engine that made society run. But these monkeys weren't getting any carrots. No one was handing them raisins or applauding their efforts. Their behavior made absolutely no sense according to everything science believed at the time. So Harlow, completely puzzled himself, proposed something radical: a third drive. He suggested that performing the task was its own reward. The monkeys solved the puzzle simply because solving puzzles felt good. He called it intrinsic motivation. But wait, the story gets even stranger. Harlow figured if this third drive was real, adding some traditional rewards should make it even stronger, right? So he ran another experiment where he offered the monkeys raisins for solving the puzzles. Surely they'd perform even better now. The results were shocking. The monkeys who got raisins actually made more errors and solved the puzzles less often. The reward, the thing that was supposed to boost their performance, had actually destroyed it. It was like dropping a ball to test gravity and watching it float upward instead. This simple experiment with a handful of monkeys and a metal puzzle revealed something fundamental about what drives us, a truth that for over half a century, our businesses, schools, and even our personal lives have almost completely ignored. Daniel Pink's best-selling book, Drive, tells the story of that truth. It's a deep dive into human motivation that reveals how almost everything we've been told about what makes us tick is wrong. By the time we're done here, you'll understand why the systems used in schools, workplaces, and even in your own life are fundamentally broken. You'll see why paying your friend to help you move might actually make them less likely to help next time, and why offering bonuses to creative teams might be the worst possible thing for their projects. And more importantly, you'll discover the 3 secret keys to unlocking your own unstoppable internal drive. This isn't just about productivity. It's about living a richer, more meaningful, and genuinely human life. Imagine for a moment that society runs on an operating system, like a computer. It's the background code, the set of assumptions about how the world works, that guides everything we do. For most of human history, we ran on a very basic system, call it Motivation 1.0. Its only directive was survival. Hunt, gather, don't get eaten by predators. Simple, and it worked. But as societies grew more complex, we needed an upgrade. Enter Motivation 2.0, built entirely on that second drive: pursuing rewards and avoiding punishments, carrots and sticks. This system was revolutionary. It powered the Industrial Revolution and built our modern economies. The idea, perfected by engineers like Frederick Winslow Taylor, was that work consisted of simple, routine tasks, and workers were like parts in a machine. To make the machine run better, just reward the behaviors you wanted and punish the ones you didn't. clear, measurable, and for a long time, incredibly effective. This operating system is so deeply embedded in our lives that we barely notice it anymore. It's behind grades in school, sales commissions, year-end bonuses. It's the assumption that to get people to move, you need to dangle a tastier carrot or brandish a sharper stick. And it worked beautifully, until it didn't. Think about this. In 1995, if you'd asked any economist to predict the future of encyclopedias, they'd have faced a simple choice. On one side, you have Microsoft, a corporate giant, flush with cash, hiring hundreds of paid professionals to build a digital encyclopedia called MSN Encarta that they'd sell for profit. On the other side, you have a ragtag group building an encyclopedia with tens of thousands of unpaid volunteers, many of them hobbyists who'd contribute 20 or 30 hours a week for absolutely nothing. And the final product? Given away for free to anyone in the world. Which model would win? In 1995, the question seemed laughable. Every principle of Motivation 2.0, every law of economics pointed to Microsoft. The volunteers had no financial incentive whatsoever. It was a cheetah racing a tortoise. But we all know how this story ends. In 2009, Microsoft shut down Encarta for good. Meanwhile, that second model, Wikipedia, became the largest and most popular encyclopedia in human history. The triumph of Wikipedia is like a ghost in the machine of Motivation 2.0. According to the old operating system, it simply shouldn't have happened. And it's not an isolated incident. The world is now filled with open-source software, for-benefit companies, and massive collaborative projects built not on financial rewards, but on something else entirely. This is the central crisis Pink identifies. The old operating system is crashing. It's incompatible with how we work, think, and live in the 21st century. Work is no longer just routine, algorithmic tasks you can write a script for. It's increasingly creative, conceptual, problem-solving work. And for that kind of work, carrots and sticks don't just fail. They often cause serious harm. Pink methodically exposes what he calls the 7 deadly flaws of extrinsic motivators, backed by decades of rigorous scientific research. Let's start with a story that perfectly captures the first and perhaps most important flaw. It comes from Mark Twain's classic, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Tom faces the dreadful chore of whitewashing his aunt's enormous fence, tedious, boring work that makes him miserable. But when his friends come by to mock him, Tom has a stroke of genius. He pretends whitewashing isn't work at all. It's a privilege, a rare and wonderful opportunity. He acts so engrossed, so deeply satisfied, that his friends get curious. They ask if they can try. Tom refuses, saying it's too important, too much of an art. Soon his friends aren't just asking. They're begging. They start trading him their prized possessions, just for the chance to do his chore. Twain concludes with a profound observation. Work is whatever you're obliged to do, and play is whatever you're not obliged to do. This is what Pink calls the Sawyer effect, and its dark side reveals the first flaw. Carrots and sticks can extinguish intrinsic motivation. They can turn play into work. Researchers proved this with preschoolers who loved to draw. They divided the children into 3 groups. The first was told they'd get a fancy certificate with a gold seal if they drew a picture. The second group was asked to draw and then surprised with the same certificate afterward. The third group just drew with no reward at all. 2 weeks later, researchers watched the children during free play time. The kids who got the surprise reward and those who got no reward continued drawing with the same joy as before. But the first group, the ones who'd been promised the certificate, showed much less interest in drawing. Many didn't draw at all. The reward had poisoned a genuine passion. It had taken an activity they loved and turned it into a transaction, transforming their play into work. This effect has been replicated hundreds of times with both children and adults. When you use external rewards to motivate people for tasks that are inherently interesting, creative, or noble, you almost always destroy their internal drive to do it. But maybe that's a price worth paying if it improves performance, right? That brings us to the second deadly flaw. Rewards can actually diminish performance. 4 leading economists, including Dan Ariely, went to rural India to test this. They gave participants games requiring motor skills, creativity, and concentration, offering 3 reward levels: small, about a day's pay; medium, 2 weeks pay; and large, 5 months pay. A life-changing sum. The results were stunning. People offered the medium reward performed no better than those offered the small one, and the group offered the massive 5 months pay reward. They performed worst of all. The pressure of high-stakes rewards clouded their thinking and crushed their performance. Research from the London School of Economics analyzing 51 studies of corporate pay-for-performance plans reached a similar conclusion. Financial incentives can result in negative impacts on overall performance. The third flaw is even more devastating for our modern economy. Rewards crush creativity. Imagine you're given a candle, matches, and a box of thumbtacks. Your task is to attach the candle to the wall so wax doesn't drip on the table. This is the famous candle problem, a classic test of creative problem solving. Most people try tacking the candle directly to the wall, which doesn't work, or melting the side and sticking it to the wall. That fails too. The solution requires overcoming what psychologists call functional fixedness. You have to see the box not just as a container for tacks, but as a potential platform for the candle. Empty the box, tack it to the wall, place the candle inside. Now, what happens when you offer people a reward for solving this quickly? Psychologist Sam Glucksberg tried it. He offered one group cash prizes for fast solutions and told another group he was just timing them to establish norms. The result? The group offered rewards took, on average, 3.5 minutes longer to solve the problem. The reward, designed to sharpen thinking, actually narrowed their focus and blinded them to creative possibilities right in front of them. When a task is simple with a clear path forward, what Pink calls algorithmic work, rewards can help. They narrow focus and make you run faster. But for creative, innovative work, that same narrowing of focus is a disaster. These are just the first 3 flaws. The list continues. Rewards can crowd out good behavior. When one daycare center introduced fines for parents who picked up kids late pickups actually doubled. The fine removed the moral obligation to be on time and turned it into a simple transaction. Parents were now just paying for extra time. Rewards can also encourage cheating, create addiction, and foster dangerously short-term thinking. An executive focused only on quarterly bonuses will do whatever it takes to hit that number, even if it harms the company's long-term health. The promise of a reward sends dopamine to the same part of the brain activated by addictive drugs. It feels good momentarily but quickly fades, leaving you needing a bigger dose next time. It becomes clear that Motivation 2.0, the system of carrots and sticks, is deeply flawed and outdated. It's not a law of nature, it's an invention, and it's time for an upgrade. So if the old system is broken, what's the new one? Pink calls it Motivation 3.0, and it's not a complex new theory. It's a return to our true nature. It recognizes that we have that third drive, the intrinsic desire to direct our own lives, to learn and create, and to make a contribution. This new operating system is built on 3 essential elements: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. These aren't just nice-to-haves. According to decades of research from psychologists like Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, they're innate, universal, psychological needs. When these needs are met, we flourish. We're more motivated, more productive, and happier. When they're thwarted, our motivation withers. Let's start with the first element, autonomy. Autonomy is our desire to be directors of our own lives, the feeling of choice, of volition. This is actually our default setting. Think of any toddler. They're bundles of curiosity and self-direction. It's only when the world begins, managing them with rules, controls, and, if-then, rewards, that this default gets flipped. The old idea of management is built on control, but Motivation 3.0 is built on relinquishing it. An Australian company called Atlassian discovered the power of this. Once a quarter, they hold FedEx Days. For 24 hours, their engineers can work on any problem they want, with anyone they want, in any way they want. The only rule? Deliver something overnight, a new idea, a patch, a prototype. These bursts of pure autonomy have produced an incredible number of software fixes and new product ideas that would never have emerged otherwise. Google famously took this further with its 20% time, where engineers spend 1 day a week on projects of their own choosing. The results? Gmail, Google News, Google Translate. Many of their most successful products were born not from top-down directives, but from the fertile ground of autonomy. Pink says true autonomy isn't just about what you do. It covers 4 key aspects of work: your task, what you do, your time when you do it, your technique, how you do it, and your team, who you do it with. Companies embracing this are seeing extraordinary results. At Best Buy's corporate headquarters, they implemented a results-only work environment, or ROWE. In a ROA, there are no schedules. People don't have to show up at any particular time. They just have to get their work done. The results? Productivity in ROW teams increased by 35%, and voluntary turnover plummeted. Or consider Zappos, the online shoe retailer famous for customer service. Their call center representatives have total autonomy over technique. No scripts, no time limits on calls. Their only directive is to serve the customer well. This autonomy is a key reason they consistently rank among the best companies for customer service in the world. They're not controlled, they're trusted. And in return, they deliver excellence. But autonomy alone isn't enough. It's the pathway to the second element of Motivation 3.0 mastery. Mastery is our urge to get better and better at something that matters. The joy is in the struggle, in the pursuit of excellence. Pink argues that one of the greatest frustrations in modern work is the mismatch between what people have to do and what they can do. When a task is too hard, we feel anxiety. Too easy? Boredom. The secret to mastery lies in finding that sweet spot in between, the state that psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi famously called flow. Csikszentmihalyi, a World War II survivor who saw firsthand how adults had failed to create a world worth living in, dedicated his life to studying what makes life feel truly meaningful. He discovered that the best moments in our lives usually occur when our body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. This is flow. In a state of flow, goals are clear, feedback is immediate, and most importantly, the challenge is perfectly matched to our ability. It's a little beyond our current skill level, but not so far as to be overwhelming. Pink calls these Goldilocks tasks. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. In these moments, we're so focused, so engaged, that our sense of time, place, and even self seems to melt away. The effort itself becomes the reward. This is the engine of mastery, but Pink explains that the path to mastery follows 3 peculiar laws. First, mastery is a mindset. This comes from Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck's work. She found that people hold one of 2 beliefs about their abilities. Some have a fixed mindset. They believe their intelligence and talents are set in stone. Others have a growth mindset. They believe abilities can be developed through effort and dedication. People with fixed mindsets avoid challenges because they don't want to risk looking dumb. People with growth mindsets embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Mastery is only possible for those who believe it's possible. Second, mastery is a pain. The path to getting better isn't always fun. It requires what researcher Anders Ericsson calls deliberate practice, years of focused, grueling, often frustrating effort. It requires grit, perseverance, and passion for long-term goals. The moments of flow pull us through the long stretches of hard work. As basketball legend Julius Erving once said, Being a professional is doing the things you love to do, on the days you don't feel like doing them. Third, mastery is an asymptote. An asymptote is a line that a curve approaches but never touches, and so it is with mastery. You can get closer and closer, even become one of the best in the world, but you can never fully arrive. Tiger Woods at his peak was obsessed with getting better, knowing he'd never achieve perfection. This is what makes the pursuit of mastery so frustrating but also so alluring. The joy is in the striving, not the arriving. So we have autonomy and mastery. These two alone can create incredible performance. But to build a truly robust and fulfilling life, we need the third leg, purpose. Purpose is the yearning to do what we do in service of something larger than ourselves. The first two elements are about how we do our work. Purpose is about why. Motivation 2.0, with its laser focus on profit, treated purpose as a nice accessory, something you add if you can, but not essential. Motivation 3.0 puts purpose on equal footing with profit. In fact, it argues that the most successful and enduring organizations use profit as a catalyst to achieve their purpose, not as the end goal itself. We see this shift everywhere. It's in the rise of companies like Tom's Shoes, a for-profit company with giving at its core. For every pair of shoes sold, they give a pair to a child in need. It's in the emergence of B corporations and for-benefit organizations, new legal structures for businesses animated by public purpose. This isn't about charity. It's about a new way of thinking. The old model was make lots of money, then later in life give it away to feel good. The new model integrates purpose directly into your work. This is the purpose motive, and it's deeply personal. Researchers at the University of Rochester tracked graduates 1 to 2 years into their careers and found something remarkable. Graduates who pursued profit goals, like becoming wealthy or famous, were no happier than they were in college, even when achieving those goals. Many showed increased anxiety and depression. But graduates who pursued purpose goals, like helping others or learning and growing, reported much higher satisfaction and well-being, with very low anxiety levels. Attaining their goals made them genuinely happier. The study reveals a powerful truth: getting what you want isn't always what you need. A life built around relentless pursuit of extrinsic rewards often leaves us feeling empty. A life built on the pillars of autonomy, mastery, and purpose, however, is truly driven from within. It's a life of engagement, contribution, and deep personal fulfillment. This, Pink concludes, is the secret to high performance and a life well lived. It's not about finding better carrots or sharper sticks. It's about rediscovering our third drive, the one that's been there all along, waiting to be unleashed. It's about building our lives, our companies, and our world around a new, more human, and ultimately more effective operating system. As we wrap up our journey through Drive, I want to leave you with a few thoughts on why this book is so much more than just a business manual. It's a lens through which you can look at your own life, especially at this stage, as you stand on the cusp of so many important decisions. The central idea that has always stayed with me is this profound mismatch between what science knows and what the world does. It's as if we discovered 100 years ago that the key to health was balanced diet and exercise. But our schools and companies continued serving only candy and insisting everyone sit perfectly still. It's that absurd. The world you're preparing to enter still largely runs on Motivation 2.0. You'll see it in how classes are graded, how internships are structured, and how your first job will likely be managed. You'll be offered carrots and threatened with sticks. And the great danger is that over time, this system can do what it did to those preschoolers who loved to draw. It can take your natural curiosity and passion and slowly turn it into mere compliance. This book is your defense against that. It's a reminder that your internal drive is your most precious asset, and you must protect it. So how can you start applying these ideas right now? Let me suggest 3 simple things. First, conduct a personal autonomy audit. Look at your life right now: schoolwork, part-time job, hobbies. Ask yourself, Where do I have control? Do you have autonomy over your tasks, your time, your technique, and your team? If you feel a lack of it in one area, don't just accept it. See if you can create a small pocket of freedom. Maybe negotiate with a teacher to do a project on a topic you're passionate about, instead of the assigned one. Maybe take a generic summer job and find one aspect you can truly own and improve. Autonomy is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Second, actively seek your Goldilocks tasks. Pay attention to things that make you lose track of time. What activities absorb you so completely that the world just fades away? That's the feeling of flow. That's your compass pointing toward what you should be trying to master. It might be coding, playing guitar, debating, fixing engines. Don't dismiss these activities as just hobbies. They're clues to your deepest motivations. Lean into them. Practice deliberately. The path to mastery is long and difficult, but those moments of flow are the fuel that will keep you going. And third, start asking the big question of purpose. What's my sentence? Claire Booth Luce once told President Kennedy that a great life can be summed up in one sentence. Lincoln's was, "He preserved the Union and freed the slaves." What's yours? You don't have to have the final answer at 17. Nobody does. But the act of asking the question changes how you see the world. It shifts your focus from, what do I want to get, to, what do I want to contribute? Even a small purpose, to be the person who makes friends laugh when they're down, to master a skill so you can teach it to others, to volunteer for a cause you believe in, connects you to something larger than yourself. In the end, Drive is a profoundly optimistic book. It tells us we're not destined to be passive, compliant cogs in a machine. We're born to be active, creative, and engaged. We're designed to seek freedom, welcome challenges, and find meaning. The world may try to reprogram you, but now you know the source code. You know what truly drives you. And that knowledge, more than any grade, bonus, or award, is the key to a truly successful life. That was a summary of Drive by Daniel Pink. We've hit the main ideas today, but I'll be honest, hearing me talk about it is like looking at a postcard of the Grand Canyon. The real magic happens when you stand on the edge yourself. In those quiet moments, when a particular story or simple phrase hits you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your own potential and the world around you. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.